If you look at the data for US e-commerce, 60% of all online transactions right now are made through digital wallets, and they're projecting that growing to 68% by the end of 2026.
Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. This is your essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz. I'm your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Lynell Gordon, your host, and we are thrilled to have Matt Gurley with us. He is the Director of Sales and Partner Integrations at Lynnbrook Group, and they're a company focused on providing cutting-edge payment technology solutions for the vacation rental industry. Now, Matt has a wealth of experience in the vacation rental space. He's been here for years. And in today's episode, we're going to dive into his expertise when it comes to e-commerce, fintech, risk management, fraud prevention in the vacation rental industry. Welcome, Matt.
Lynell, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure.
I think that experts, the experts that we have on here, you fit right in because your experience is really, really extensive in the industry, and I don't think people realize how long you've actually been working in this industry. Like before you worked for Lynnbrook, you worked for Booking Pal, and before that, you were like always in tech, fintech, financial technology. So, talk to me a little bit about what you want people to know about Lynnbrook. Why is Lynnbrook standing out in the industry right now? Why is it so special?
And so Lynnbrook, it's really a technical payment company. We're a fintech company at this point. And there's 2 points that really make us special. One is that we are committed and constantly building. That is not something that happens in many payment industries at all, and definitely not ours. And one of the biggest things, aside from that, is we are committed to this space and this space solely. I don't believe there's a product out there that has both of those things combined, solely focusing on the vacation rental space with commitment to continuously bring advancements in technology to our users.
So let's talk about some of that technology that's so cool. Talk to us a little bit about some of the really cool changes that have been happening in the last few years. I remember a few years ago sitting down and Chris and Tim were talking to me about all the cool stuff they were doing. I'm like, my God, when that happens, you're going to overturn the industry. So tell me about the things that they're doing right now.
Yeah, so Lynnbrook is unique in the fact that we don't use third-party gateways. A majority of the property management softwares and payment softwares in the space use third-party gateways like SlimCD, Authorize.net, PayPal. They're just kind of like standard integrations to get into the space. Lynnbrook has its own in-house technology, its own gateway, and when we partner with the PMS, we do it right. We partner deep. We don't do any lazy integrations. The average integration with us, with the PMS that's committed, can take anywhere from 1 to 6 months, depending on how in-depth that PMS wants to go. But our commitment is to try to get as in-depth of an integration with the PMS as possible. Because in the end, no matter what, we want the property manager to have to be doing as little clicks as possible and to get as much information in one space as possible. And that's really what makes us different, I think. On the backside, in-house with Lynnbrook, we are the only company that has white glove support at this point. We have an office of very dedicated individuals out in Wake Forest, North Carolina. You mentioned Chris and Tim. They've been in the space for 15 years as well. We all really love this space. And our support team is really great. It's not, somebody coming right out of college for their first job or anything like that. I'm actually the newest person at Lynnbrook, and I've been here almost 4 years. Yeah. Our support team's been here a lot longer than me, and all they do every day is talk to property managers. So when you call in and you're talking about, oh, this guest didn't show up, and now they're, wanting to argue my deposit, nobody's going to ask what's a deposit on the call. Nobody's going to ask what's a vacation rental. You're not going to talk to a chat bot. You're going to get real actual white glove service when you call in. And I think our biggest strength is probably one of the things that, aside from the tech, aside from the service, one of our biggest strengths that nobody really thinks about is the risk management piece and the underwriting piece. We're the last remaining processor in the space that has a true in-house underwriting team that manages the risk that comes with vacation rentals. Most credit card processors stay away from our space with a 10-foot pole because it is very risky.
That's true.
And then a lot of other competitors outsource the risk. So when there is something like a hurricane or a storm or a COVID level event, any type of event that causes mass cancellations that happens in the industry every couple months, at least in one location, the way that those processors react on their risk management policies are usually very unfriendly towards our cash flow models and business models. They don't understand that the average property manager is just making 20%. They think you're making that full $1 million you process, not just 200K. They don't know that 800K has to make it to a homeowner. So when it's held or pushed in reserve, you're then trying to take out loans just to pay your owner and not lose that client. And that's the thing we can help people avoid by having a smart, focused industry team.
You know, my family's in property management, and they use Lynnbrook, and they absolutely love it. I have never heard a complaint since installation. Now, the installation, how hard is it to change processors? What kind of demonic process is that for property managers?
Yeah. So if you've used any credit card processor in the past that's not Stripe, you're usually going through a 2 to 4 week underwriting process to get set up. The reason behind that is usually it's because there's 3 chefs in the kitchen. You have to set up a payment gateway, which is like a third-party company. Then your sales and service agency is working with a third-party underwriter to try to play the case that your business should get approved. And they're asking for finances. And they're doing this, they're doing that. Because we take all 3 of those chefs and put it in under one hat, we have 2 programs. One for beginners who may have just been expanding out of being an Airbnb host or processing cards for the first time. I can get them set up in an hour in processing. And then we have one for our enterprise level clients, our larger level clients, our brick and mortar traditional vacation management association clients, where we can usually get them turned around in just a couple of business days. And there's a lot of ease of use on the technical side that comes behind it, thanks to our PMS partners. So Lynnbrook has made APIs available to our PMS partners so that they can easily transition even existing pending charges to Lynnbrook. So there's no manual collection of credit card data, no manual refunds after a switch. Usually when you switch a payment processor, all those cards on file are gone. They disappeared. We've built APIs and we've built procedures in place for PMSs to be able to kind of recycle those credit card tokens and transfer all that over. So it becomes truly seamless.
I love that you're tech heavy on that end. Talk to me some more about technology. What makes Lynnbrook stand out with the tech that you use?
We're committed in 2 big areas. One is making a property manager's life easier, and 2 is making a property manager attractive for guests to pay with. We want to make it easier for guests to book safely and securely and attractive for customers to book. And on the other end, we want the property manager to save operational hours. If you're a property manager and you're also your own accountant, you know this pain. If you have accountants on staff, ask them. They will know this pain for you if they're not using a truly integrated processor. But there's a lot of tasks that go into not just month-end reporting, but daily reconciliation. Talking about payment deposits isn't the sexiest thing, but when you put on an accounting hat, it's kind of like your daily turmoil. You're going to wake up, you're going to get in the office, and you're going to have usually 1 to 3 deposits from a credit card processor that you need to go and reconcile. They have to go and figure out, okay, I got paid. I got this deposit in my bank account of $500,000 or $50,000, whatever it is. What's that for? I have to go back and go through multiple manual reports, usually go to my PMS and manually update boxes and things like that. Lynnbrook monitors more PMS data than any other processor. We also know what we paid you for, right? We know the guest name. We know what we paid you. We know we sent it. We saw that the bank actually received it. We know what property managers that require escrow accounting need and the timestamps that they need. And we know what the average company needs. So we present that data back to the PMS. And the PMSs we are mostly deeply integrated with just automatically fill that out. I'm not going to mention client names. We did a case study with one. We're trying to have it out by Verma, but we just did a deep dive with their account. There's about 200 units. And we saved them almost 2 full accounting salaries in a year just by automating that one piece.
I love the fact that you're in North Carolina. You understand North Carolina, and the reporting there is some of the strictest for trust accounting in the nation. So you got it right out of the gate. And I love the fact that you invested heavily on the tech end at the beginning to get it so that people didn't have to do dual entry and they could look for their data in one place. And I know that's what you've been saying by these great API integrations with PMSs.
Yeah, and they don't stop there. I think we keep trying to improve and trying to find other areas. So another area we found that causes a bit of turmoil, a lot of time and a lot of staff hours, and sometimes even little strain on the homeowner relationship and homeowner onboarding. It comes down to how you pay your homeowners out and how you communicate with your vendors. And we've really taken down paying homeowners to one button click and onboarding homeowners a lot easier. So traditionally, to pay somebody, if somebody's using like an average host platform, there's usually none of this technology there. And they're usually going to their bank and they're manually wiring or manually ACHing. Somebody's been cutting checks to pay homeowners out. If you're on a, using an app like Clearing for those host-based softwares, or if you're on a system a bit more advanced, like an OwnerRez or Streamline or a Barefoot, systems like that, they've built out more solutions to help you pay, but usually you're still downloading an Excel file, loading it to a Notch service. You're paying $100 a month for. Half the checks go out, half of them error. You go clear the errors, and it's just hours and hours of time that an accountant's spending just to get the homeowner paid. And to even get there, you have to call your homeowner and manually collect banking data from every single one of them and verify it by sending micro deposits. So if you have 100 owners and you're trying to migrate a PMS and you have to migrate their banking data, that's a lot of hours just to get that done. With Lynnbrook, we've made it pretty similar to how you probably use your Venmo accounts today. So I assume there's 400 million users on Venmo, so I'm going to assume almost all the listeners here have a Venmo account. When you set up your Venmo account, you use an application called Plaid to link your bank. Yes. What we do is we connect to the property manager's bank account. We pull in your homeowner data from your PMS, and we send a white labeled welcome email to them to connect their bank to connect payments from you, to collect payments from you. So those homeowners connect to your bank account the same secure way Venmo links bank accounts. So it's modern day, modern age. The average tech-savvy person can do it in a second. I think it's like 6 button clicks that they go through to get it done. But the nice part is it takes any kind of data collection out of your onboarding process for homeowners. It takes out any kind of data security out of your window. You don't have a spreadsheet somewhere with 50 bank accounts that could get hacked or phished and get that pulled from, and it goes out. You don't have to worry about how keeping that stored anywhere safe. Lynnbrook does all that for you from the homeowner and vendor perspective. And then on the front end, when you're closing out your billing, when you're closing out and you're paying your homeowners at the end of the month, a few of our PMS softwares have used our APIs like incredibly to the point where you can pay owners in a couple button clicks. So I know this happens in Streamline, for example.
It does. My family loves it. I mean, I can tell you the closing date has been, just amazing, the changes there.
Oh, yeah. So you used to, let's say you're paying 100 homeowners. So you used to be paying that one at a time or doing a notch file. That takes time. Now, with the APIs we've given to the PMSs and all this back-end work we've done to connect to bank accounts, all you're doing is clicking select all pay all. If your numbers look good, you hit select all pay all. We see people pay 400 homeowners in 5 minutes. So it makes it super efficient, super easy. Saves a lot of hours on the back end.
No kidding. That's a lot of time savings. And that's money. That's literally money in your pocket and people that don't have to manage it. Exactly.
It turns into actual dollars. If you're doing if you're paying third-party accounting consultants an hourly fee, that's actual literally hourly fee dollars coming back in. If you have full-time accountants on staff, these are hours they can be focusing on something more important. It takes all the mess work out of their day.
So tell me what you see coming down the pike with fintech, things that you're going to be able to use in the business. What's cutting edge right now?
Yeah, so there's two things. When I think fintech, you think more about the guest booking cycle. And when you look at the data on how guests in the United States are paying, it's more and more prevalent that on any online transactions, not using credit cards or debit cards anymore. They're all using their digital wallets. We already talked about Venmo. That is a digital wallet. So I think anybody listening.
This is my wallet. I carry it with me everywhere. It's my Apple wallet. I use it for everything. Literally.
For everything.
Yep. Yeah, I don't remember the last time I paid cash or pulled out a card. Even in Europe, almost everybody's using digital wallets. So
Europe, Asia, there's not a physical card in most places anymore. If you look at the data for US e-commerce, 60% of all online transactions right now are made through digital wallets, and they're projecting that growing to 68% by the end of 2026.
Wow.
So our goal, we've been working with multiple PMS partners and multiple website partners, is to give an integrated experience. So there's ways for people to go out and do like a plugin to get these on their websites, but it's not integrated. So then they have to go and manually reconcile it. They have to go manually charge the card. They have to go manually charge the payment. So they have this cool, nice feature on the website that are attractive for guests, but it adds a bunch of work on their accounting team and their reservation team. Lynnbrook's committed to an integrated solution. So we've been working with every leading website PMS partner in the space. We've been working on direct integrations there. So at guest checkout, they'll be offered things like PayPal, Venmo, Apple Pay, Pay Later, where you can even finance the stay. And actually have it go back into the PMS, go into the accounting system, land on that same deposit report as the credit cards without adding any additional effort to the property management company or their team downstream. Two big things I like about this, aside from this, just, okay, cool, the data says 60% of transactions are this way, we should probably have that on the website. To me, that's the no-brainer. But if you need more, when you pay with Apple Pay, what do? What's the process? You scan your face, right?
I double click, scan my face, and hold it out.
You hold it out, right? When you're paying on Pay with PayPal or Venmo online, you have to log into your PayPal account. If they see that you're on an IP address that they don't know, they're going to send you that 6-digit code to verify yourself at checkout. How many fraudulent transactions do you think we've seen coming through these wallets that require these types of verifications? I haven't seen a single one.
Are you serious? I was going to ask, that's my next question, is about fraud and cyber attacks, because what you're talking about, the technology that we currently have, makes it so much more scalable for guest pay. I mean, that makes the process so easy for guests and for vacation rental managers. So you're saying that not only does it make it easier, but it discourages fraud and cyber attacks?
Yep. So it makes it's the click to book timetable goes down. There's no need to manually enter a card. There's no need to manually enter an address. Don't need to manually do this thing. So for PMS partners, tee it up the way as efficient as possible. The search to quote to book the book timetable shrinks drastically. If you ask Booking.com, my pastor worked at Booking Pal. We were the first people to bring Booking.com on the fold. If you ever went to one of their sessions, they say they've used monitoring technology on their website for decades now of trying to make it as fast as possible from search to book. That's their whole goal, is from search to checkout is as fast as possible, because our attention spans are short and they're getting shorter.
Sure.
So that you mentioned, the guest experience, that's what it does. It gets that click to book ratio a lot shorter. But because it requires a two-factor authentication, because they have to physically log in and approve this, they go into the text verification or a face scan. It's very, 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 very difficult for a criminal to get through and do this. If it had to be physically broken into someone's home and sit on their computer and have their password written down on the same IP the person uses every day to even try to commit this, it's not somebody who can just, scan a credit card number off of a gas station pump and use it.
The Vacation Rental Show is proud to partner with Lynnbrook, the experts in vacation payment solutions. Their comprehensive platform features guest ID, authentication, and mobile wallet support while directly integrating into your reservation system. With decades of experience, Lynnbrook provides unmatched expertise in integrated homeowner payments, chargeback mitigation, and fraud protection for both you and your guests. Contact them online at lynnbrookgroup.com to learn more. I find that it's more difficult to log into my corporate email account than it is to use these payment processors. And that's the truth.
Yep. That's the goal.
So can you share for vacation rental managers, can you share some fraud detection and prevention for them, especially considering now we have such a wide range of payment methods that guests expect to be able to use? What can we do to protect ourselves?
Yeah. So, obviously, call me to set up wallets on your website. I would do that for step one. But when it comes to credit cards and e-checks, those are the most common methods in our space still to this day. Those are the two, at this point, most exposed and most at risk. There's a lot of services out there that do a good job of you're doing an ID, offering an ID verification and this, that, and the other. Personally, a lot of it's overkill and very expensive. The main thing that you need to do for any of these card not present transactions is somebody paying online, not in person, not at a front desk, just booking online with a card, is a two-factor authentication. It doesn't need to be a license capture. That can be faked. I see it faked all the time. It doesn't need to be, they don't need to send a selfie with the license holding up, one that's uncomfortable. Yeah, that's why I don't use Turo anymore. I'm only getting off a plane and taking a selfie with my license in front of me to get to the car. I'll just go to the rental car place and get my car. Um, but you don't put them through this task. A simple two-factor authentication is all they need. And what a two-factor authentication means is 2 points of verification that that person's who they say they are. Lynnbrook just built that out, and we offer that for free for our customers. We see a significant decrease in fraudulent transactions, in fraudulent chargebacks, with this tool that we've had it out for about a year now. No, sorry, 2 years now. Time's flying. But what it does, the guest books, we send an email using the email that they booked with. They have to verify it. So, hey, yeah, I received this. And it opens up a link, says enter your cell phone number. You'll receive a 6-digit code. They get the code, and that's it. So the guest experience is the same experience as you logging into your Netflix account in the next hotel or vacation rental you're in, right? It's super simple. Everybody's done a two-factor authentication at this point, because every bank requires it, every major app. So you're not making a guest to go through any hoops. But what we're doing in the background is pretty in-depth. When they get that text, it actually authorizes us to pull their public phone records. So we pull those public phone records. We cross-check those public phone records to the reservation data and the data on their credit card. If anybody's using a stolen card, it is impossible to fake phone records. It's impossible. We will see if they stole someone's identity, because it'll be referenced on the phone record. You'll see new lines been added. We see a lot of people trying to use a deceased person's phone number, but the phone companies pull in medical records and deceased records, and you see that. But what happens to almost all of these accounts now is the second the criminal sees that they have to go through two-factor authentication, they have to enter a text, they're going to give the reservation team 30 excuses as to why my phone can't get a text right now, because they know that they can't get past it. So they try to dance around it, and that's just your red flag to go ahead and cancel the booking and refund it because it's a stolen card. But that simple tool makes it a lot easier on the guest and is a surefire way to tell. There are a lot of solutions that do a lot more. They do background checks, they do sex offender checklist things. We don't do all that. But I will tell you, we have had multiple scenarios where somebody's gone through our verification and their verification approved it because they just looked at a picture of a license, whereas our cross-referenced to phone, and we realized they had just stolen a picture of somebody's license and uploaded it.
That's crazy.
We'll be able to catch it. And ours is free, so it's worth using. And then for e-checks, I have advice and an announcement. So e-checks are a good way to get payment in an inexpensive way. The downside is there's no instant balance verification. There's no instant fraud verification. It's just checking, does this accounting and routing number exist? And it can take banks up to 14 days to tell you there's a problem. So if you're ever taking an e-check, they are very, very good in terms of saving money because they just usually cost less than $1 to run, which is a lot less expensive than the average credit card fee.
Right.
But they come with their own risks. There's no balance verification, and there is no actual validity verification. It's just verifying that accounting and routing number exists. It doesn't verify that that account and bank balance actually belongs to the person in that check number. And it doesn't actually verify that the money is in the account at all. It can take banks up to 14 days to verify those things. So we see it, unfortunately, pretty often. Somebody took an e-check for a stay this weekend. The person goes to the unit, they get a nice lovely vacation, they leave, and it turns out to be a stolen check or a check that only had $100 in an account, tied to it. So I always tell people, yes, e-checks are good to save money, but only do it with friends, family, relatives, customers that customer repeat guests, or guests further in advance. They don't use it for last minute bookings because people can get in and out. I wouldn't even take it within 60 days because the odds of a guest blocking your calendar for 14 days and then that calendar coming back open and then getting rebooked.
I just want you to repeat that because I know a lot of people that take it during that time period. So would you repeat what you said? You wouldn't take an e-check within how long?
I wouldn't do it within 60 days personally. Okay. But for the listeners, your booking window, right? Traditionally, when you can fill that booking and at maximum rate, right? I know traditionally in most markets, unless it's peak season, it's kind of hard to fill a booking within 30 to 60 days at your market price without offering discounts. So if you think about it, let's say you take an e-check 62 days before check-in and it takes the bank 14 days to tell you that that guy doesn't have any money. And then you go through the cycle of trying to get the money and the guy just cancels. You have no money to collect your deposit, and your calendar was just blocked for 14, 15 days while you sorted all that out. And then now you have to rebook it. And now you only have 45 days prior to check in to do it. So like, those are things to think about when you do e-checks. Without that balance verification, it's bad. But coming soon with Lynnbrook, segue to what's new, is like a hybrid approach. If anybody is a renter and pays rent, if anybody pays utility bills, or most people pay utility bills, a lot of people use a more secure method to take payment than just entering an accounting or routing number. It's commonly known as pay by bank. And similar to segue back to your homeowners connecting their bank accounts to your bank account and authorizing a bank account verification through Plaid, we take that, we put that on the front end. So the guest authorizes a bank account connection for a certain amount of money, usually quoted at checkout, for you to charge, and it holds. You can charge a deposit, a full payment later on with that. So the guests go in, they connect their bank account. We know that the account's real because they're actually, like, I use Chase. So if I'm doing pay by bank, I click pay by bank. It routes me to Chase. Chase says, hey, do you want to approve this vendor to connect you for this, booking amount? I say yes, and it processes the deposit payment and stores it for a later payment. We're currently building that out as a new wallet option. Because it's connecting through a bank, it is a lot less expensive than a credit card. We're still finalizing pricing because different banks charge different things. We're just trying to get the nice one that covers everybody. But that is something we're going to announce at Burma coming up, and something that we're building towards.
Gotta love that. I mean, think about how much we pay in credit card fees. Saving that is phenomenal. Or if you charge it to the guest, saving that again, that's a lot of money that we're saving when we talk about a $7,000 stay or a $10,000 stay.
I think it's a win-win-win. So it's more secure than just taking an e-check, and it's savings to the guest and you on a credit card fee. Pay by bank, we use it today. As you know, Lynnbrook's part of Inhabit. Inhabit also has a multifamily segue. We use that today in our rent platform. And now we're bringing that technology piece into vacation rentals and working to get it across the same websites as we did with wallets.
I really love that. I love the fact that we're taking the best of technology from both worlds and bringing it back and forth. I think that makes a lot of sense. It always did to me. Let me ask you this. What are some of the biggest mistakes that property managers make when it comes to e-commerce, and what can they could do to avoid them?
I'd say one thing that happens a lot, especially in like high risk markets. So you think anything on the coast that has hurricanes, or anything outside, or anything in like an urban market that is subject to like flight cancellations, equally cancellations, things like that, is not having an accounting practice in place to at least mimic close to trust. I think it's a big mistake that we see constantly. I don't think the people in the industry understand what they're agreeing to when they sign Visa's terms, when they sign MasterCard's terms, things like that. Risk is also not a sexy thing to talk about, but I will do it. The risk of any credit card processor. So if people are here and you own, like let's say you own a vacational company, you also own a deli, and you own a pizza shop. The risk of the transaction is very, very different between those business models. So a credit card provider, a merchant service provider like Lynnbrook, our risk is the time that transaction is processed until the product is delivered. And the industry sees product delivery as checking. That's why you don't see hotels take deposits. They take like a $1 charge, and then they charge it in person because they know they wouldn't have any favorable card rates, or probably not even get approved on most credit card brands if they took an upfront deposit, right? So when you think about our space, you already mentioned, Lynell, the transactions that are $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. Lynnbrook is really, really good at making bank partners feel comfortable and happy because we work with our partners on their accounting structure. It is very, very hard to maintain a relationship like this without us having an in-depth partnership with our property managers. And we do very advanced monitoring, and we try to make it as easy as possible, just helping make sure that people are on a path of keeping their funds separated between, guests not arrived and arrived. So if you do escrow accounting, you're already doing it. If you do trust accounting, you're already doing it. If you're not in a state that requires that, there are multiple reasons it's smart for you, whether you use Lynnbrook or another processor out there, to separate your funds between operating capital and account for, and we kind of call it like unrecognized revenue capital, right? Any time you agree to any payment processor, whether it's Lynnbrook or any other processors that are out there, the Visa terms are the same, the MasterCard terms are the same. They don't view you as owning that money until that guest gets the product. Now, if you also own that pizza shop, it's pretty easy, right? It's the 30 minutes it takes you to make that pizza is the risk for your credit card processor. It's a lot easier. There's probably 1,000 different credit card processors you could choose from in the pizza industry. You come to vacation rentals, there's really like 4 of us, and that's why it's a lot harder to sustain the banks even wanting to work with our industry, right? And I think that's the biggest mistake is a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't realize that the money in the eyes of Visa and MasterCard Discover isn't theirs until the product's delivered. And you see a lot of advanced payments. And then the first mass cancellation problem, you see businesses go under.
Yes.
Or you see very unfavorable loans and liens that they're stuck in. That's one big thing. And then other thing for credit cards is not all credit card companies are created equal, right? Similar to like when you go and you're car shopping, when you're looking at a Tesla, there's a lot more features than looking at a used Honda from 2006, right? Like there's going to be very, very different technical things. We've talked about a lot of products and features that Lynnbrook has. We really try to help save and build a lot more than just a credit card fee by helping on these operational things, helping you onboard owners faster, helping you close books faster, and keeping your website attractive and booking through. When it comes down to a lot of processors, people just kind of chase the lowest possible rate, and it usually puts them in a bad scenario at some point. That's what I'd say is just vet what you're actually getting when you're buying something.
So I have really enjoyed talking to you, Matt. You are so educated and well-versed in the field of e-commerce, and I love the fact that you guys are always thinking out of the box. If people want to reach out to you to set that up on their website, how would they reach you?
Yeah. If you just go to lynnbrookgroup.com, there's a contact us page. It goes right to myself and my very capable colleagues. We all work with different PMSs. We all focus on different PMSs because it's important to know how those systems work. Whichever system you use, we hop right in. And if you are a PMS provider that wants a new payment partner, you guys can just come to my LinkedIn and message me, or just matt.gurley@lynnbrookgroup.com. I handle all of our PMS partnerships. And then, contact us page on Lynnbrook is the best way to get to all of us.
I love that. Is there any other advice that you would give to property managers?
Your payment partner is important. It's going back to that risk management piece. A lot of people don't realize what can happen if risk is imposed. Lynnbrook is the only company in the space that can guarantee that no matter what scenario, funds don't need to get held past a point where guests have checked in. And if anybody's been through a bad hurricane or been through COVID, the average processor does things like reserves or holds. That's the common way that every processor manages their risk. And that is not favorable to trust accounting. It's not favorable to escrow accounting, and it's not favorable to property managers who have to pay homeowners at some point. And you can't really do it if your money's being held. So I just always make sure that you're in a safe position. And I think we're the ones that can offer the most safety there. And then last piece of advice to make it fun and less scary is I love thinking forward. I love thinking about the future. When we're 5, 6, 7 years down the road, right, we're already seeing the younger millennial generation being the primary vacationer. It's going to be Gen Z next. It's going to be Gen Alpha after that. Make sure your business is set up for them to pay the way that they know how to pay. These guys don't have to carry credit cards or debit cards anymore. It's all wallets. So help us bring, the vacational world future and kind of the modern day e-commerce. We need help and support from property managers to help us get the different website companies and PMSs to help us implement it. We have it built out across a lot, but Client Advocate helps us get those integration timelines going faster.
I love that. And you reminded me of a few years ago when I got a call from some very large property management companies who were very upset. And I don't remember if it was COVID or if it was a disaster, like a storm or a hurricane or something. But they called me and they were like, our credit card processing, the company they were using to do the processing for them was holding all of their money. And I don't remember why, but I remember I probably called Tim. And I said, Tim, can you help people with this? And I know he made a bunch of phone calls and to help explain to people what they could do to try to help them, even though they weren't even using Lynnbrook as a processor. And I just think about relationships in this industry as being so important. You know, just as important as the tech are the relationships where we can reach out and touch somebody. And I love the fact that Lynnbrook has a full customer service. I mean, I've called them before and talked to them. So, I mean, I know that you guys have always had that, but the fact that you've kept it and you haven't, made that automated or taken the people part out of it. I love the people part of Lynnbrook. So thank you guys for being so available to people.
Of course. I think that you're touching on almost like an untold story about kind of Inhabit coming around to help try to really make a difference over COVID. Lynnbrook's very lucky to have that investment to help us build this technology out and help do this. It's very, very hard to be what you call a payment facilitator, but we're able to actually manage the risk in-house and handle that. And Lynnbrook wasn't always that way, right? We used to, just like everybody else, use a third-party risk manager. And in COVID, about half our business was on the new program where we're managing risk in-house. So we're kind of going slow and, making it, we needed, more investment, more money, and more dev time to build it to what it is now. We had this 3-year roadmap to make it happen. And then like the 80% of our business was on our legacy solution where we were using third-party underwriters and third-party risk managers. And COVID happens and we start having to go to this fight. We're going to battle and we're just trying to beg, plead, and argue to help save these businesses money and get cash flow going. And Inhabit just took this 3-year pipeline and they shoved it down to 1 month, funneled a bunch of money into it, and it let us kind of save that platform. So as people got stuck, we're able to move them and get them into a better program to where their money wasn't stuck. So it's a like untold feather in the cap that
it is. It truly is an untold story. But I was there and I remember those people that called me, and I remember Tim reaching out and helping them and actually pushing them over to, and I mean, I remember at the beginning, he was like, I have no idea what we're going to do. We only have this many people set up on this platform. And it was like in beta or something at the time. Yeah. Well, and thank God our company was with Lynnbrook at the time. They had already moved over, but so many of our friends had not at the time. And it was really a shame when large companies can take advantage of property management companies and cause them extreme financial hardship with no legal recourse. So I was just like, I think everybody should know how much Lynnbrook really stretched out their hand, and Inhabit, of course, who allowed that to happen because it had to go through a lot of levels. And there were a lot of people that were involved in that. And that's a great call from John Vinci. I'm just going to shout out to him for that.
Yeah, good old JV for helping us out.
He really cares. He actually cares about property managers. I can certainly say that. But anyway, I really appreciate you coming and sharing with people. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you at some of the conferences that are coming up. Matt, are you going to be there?
I will be at Verma. I will be practicing my golf game to come in and, work on that charity event. We just had a baby. So
congratulations, girl or boy?
We just had a baby girl named Harper.
Oh, how pretty.
She's 1 month old. She's a beautiful little thing. But I haven't swung a golf club in a year, and I'm going to drag my team down at Verma if I don't go practice. So I'm going to have a bassinet at the range the next couple of weeks. We'll try to get ready.
You'll probably have little sleep, so we'll just be watching out for that too.
If you saw me take a sip of an energy drink on this interview, that is why. Okay.
It's true. I remember getting no sleep. It's the one thing about children. I was like, if I could just get sleep. I was a single mom, and I just thought one day I will be able to sleep.
Yeah, good thing to think forward to. One day we'll be good.
We'll see you at Verma. Blessings to you. Thank you again for coming on, Matt.
Thanks so much, Lynell.
This episode of the Vacation Rental Show was brought to you by Lynnbrook. To find out more about how Lynnbrook Group can help grow your vacation rental business, visit lynnbrookgroup.com. Make sure to search for The Vacation Rental Show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team at Inhabit, thanks for listening.